Great. So I'm so excited to get to do another podcast and share more amazing things with you, my listeners. And today on Embrace Your Brand, I have the lovely Jennifer Jacobson, and she is going to introduce herself and all the amazing work that she is into. And we're even going to dive into her story today. So, Jennifer, thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you for having me, Laura. I'm super excited. Yes, so I will just start at the beginning, I guess. My name
Yeah,
is
let's start
Jennifer
there.
Jacobson. Yeah, and so just a little backstory on me. I originally wanted to help people by being a therapist. And so I went to school for that, got my master's degree, and became a therapist. And love that work, did that for a while in private practice and then took a little hiatus, I guess, and raised my three daughters who are all teenagers now. So that's always a always a lot of fun and a lot of
Sounds like a
drama. But
thrill.
yeah, and so once they were in school, I knew I wanted to get back to work again. And that's when I kind of discovered life coaching and I kind of fell in love with it. I loved being a therapist, but this was even more exciting for me because the difference in between therapy and coaching is you really take people from where they are now, healthy, whole, and ready for more in their life to where they really want to be in the future. So it's all about really accomplishing their big dreams and visions for the future. And I kind of fell madly in love. So I got certified as a life coach, and I've been doing this for almost 7 years and have pivoted a few times. And right now I am helping other coaches with their business. So I'm a business mindset coach for coaches and other online service providers too. But I really help them with the limiting beliefs that come up in business, right? Because we have, all of us have those, especially those of us who are not marketers or salespeople by trade, right? Like we want to, like you, like you're a brand expert. You didn't necessarily go into this to be a marketer. So, although
No.
I'm sure you know a ton about marketing in your field, but a lot of coaches don't necessarily know that they have to learn marketing and sales. And there's a lot of mindset that goes into that. There's a lot of limiting beliefs that come up and stories that we tell ourselves, like, for example, who am I to be doing this? Who am I to be having my own business? I don't really know what I'm doing. And then a lot of times we feel like, what if I can't really help people in the way that I want to or get them the results that they want? And so those things really get in the way. And so that's kind of how I found myself in this space because I thought I could combine my therapy expertise and my life coaching together to really help women grow their businesses and be super successful. Because once those fears and doubts and limiting stories are out of the way, like they become super clear and confident, and that's what magnetizes their clients to them over and over again. I find that as soon as you can move those things out of the way, you just show up with a different energy and a different enthusiasm, and that becomes really, really attractive to your dream clients. And so the more like women who are working online and creating amazing businesses, the more of those who can have just unlimited success, I just feel like the more of those, the better this world's going to be, is kind of my
Yeah.
my big, huge mission because
Yeah.
yeah, we all want to help and we all want to make a difference. And I just think like, yeah, if we can as women really get there and make that difference, it's just going to be a better place for all of us. So,
Yeah. Yeah. It's just helping each of us that struggle with those doubts and, like you said, those
yeah.
limiting beliefs. Like, if we just get about out of our own way, we have amazing things to bring to the world and to impact people with. So I totally agree with that. And I love that just seeing your journey and how you transition where you've always had this love and desire to help people live better lives, to do more things. And, even though, like you said, you have pivoted in different ways, maybe you've helped certain people in certain areas, and now you're helping female entrepreneurs. overcome those doubts and limiting beliefs, it's your fundamental purpose in what you want to do is still there and is still driving you, and you can just see it on your face that you're just so lit up about like what you do and how you're inspiring people and how like what you do can change lives for so many people and
Yeah.
can impact the world with women like us that are, offering a service, we're coaching, we're helping people to live those better lives. The more of us that can do that unapologetically
Yeah.
and show up as our best selves, we're just going to increase that positive energy and vibration in the world and it'll just ripple effect. So I
Yeah.
think that's just so beautiful and such a much needed thing. We need people like you to help encourage us and to do those things. Um, so I kind of want to just maybe kind of dive in a little bit about like you helping coaches and entrepreneurs because I feel like my audience, a lot of them are going to be maybe in the coaching space. They're going to be in some type of service based entrepreneurship, mompreneurs, solopreneurs, that type of thing. And we often have these little hurdles that we have to overcome. There's these stories we tell ourselves. There's these habits and patterns and I know from my own experience, before I really got into entrepreneurship, the whole term limiting beliefs
Mm.
or mindset, like didn't really click. I was like, what are we talking about here? Like, what is this? So it can be really new for those that aren't in this space before, haven't heard a lot of those terms. So just kind of maybe explain for those who are maybe a little bit new what it really is that a limiting belief does to us. I mean, it's kind of self-explanatory, but let's just define that a little bit more.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I don't have the actual dictionary definition in front of
Yeah.
me, but the
How
way that
would you
I
define
see,
that?
yeah, the way that I see limiting beliefs is really just any thought that is holding you back, right? So, because everything that we do in our life and in our business, everything that happens to us, like we have a thought about it, right? So, maybe you go on a sales call and the person says no, right? And it's what we make that mean because, the person said no, that's just a fact, right? It's just a fact. That's what happened. They said they didn't want to work with you, whatever. We can get into that really deeply, but basically, you know, on the most basic level, it's just like what you make circumstances in your life mean, right? So it's like, and and it doesn't serve you, right? So it limits you. A limiting belief is just a thought, and usually, like a a belief is a thought that you've had like over and over again. So it's become almost part of who you are and how you see the world. And that's when it becomes problematic because at times we don't even know what those thoughts are. And so sometimes I have to help my clients find those thoughts and see those thoughts because they've been there for a long time. And in reality, as human beings, we all have limiting beliefs and they're there for a reason, right? They're there for protection purposes, right? Like we wouldn't have survived as long as we've survived on this planet if we all just looked at everything positively all the time. So our brains are wired to see the negative. However, in business and in life, a lot of times those negative stories that we're telling ourselves, those negative thoughts that we have in our mind, they're just not serving us. And so we need to figure out what those are and shift them. So just to give you some examples, a lot of us hear the word imposter syndrome, right? And imposter syndrome is just like, it's basically a bunch of limiting beliefs that tell us that we are a fraud, that we are an imposter, that we're in this space and we're almost telling the world a big lie. And so you have a lot of thoughts like, who am I to be doing this, right? You have a thought that maybe I'm not good enough. Maybe I can't really help people with this service or this, thing that I'm offering them, right? So you have a lot of these thoughts that are limiting you because when you have the belief that you're a fraud or you're an imposter, what that does to your energy and the way that you show up in the world is you don't feel very confident, right? You don't feel very positive about yourself. And so that comes through in everything you do in business, right? Every time you have a conversation with a person, every time you post, every time you go into a networking group or you talk to someone again on that sales call, those limiting thoughts, those thoughts that aren't serving you are getting in your way. They're making you feel not, they're not helping you to feel super confident and like an authority in your space, which you are. You just might not always believe you are. So I hope that answered the question. Did that
Yes.
make sense? Okay.
Yes, yes, that made really great sense. And as I was listening to you talk, I was kind of picturing, for someone who is thinking, okay, maybe I have some limiting beliefs. What does it really look like? And that to me looks like, say you're going to a networking chat and you're told to introduce yourself and you're fumbling. Well, I kind of can help with this. Like you can kind of sometimes see people who are very confident in what they're talking about and what they're articulating as their service, what they're able to do. And then you have those that are maybe still like you may be in the phase of figuring it out,
Yeah.
and you
Yeah.
could come across as I don't have all my stuff together. And so I don't look like I'm really prepared or confident in what it is that I do. And, I think that can stem from those limiting beliefs of I don't have enough education
Yep.
or I don't know how to make a sale, these
Yeah.
little things that we tell us. And I was even thinking of my own personal experience where I've had times where I will doubt myself and what I'm able to offer to my clients. I'm like, well, who would pay this much for that? Or who would
Mm,
want to work with me? Or how can I really help people? I feel like somebody else says that so much better than I do. And when you
right.
get trapped in that little spiral, you have to almost just pause and stop and remind yourself, okay, I can do this. I
Yeah.
I have all of this knowledge, all of this skill, or let me look at the past of how many people I've actually helped and been able to do things with. It's just a
Amazing.
matter of stopping, switching, becoming aware that I'm saying things that are actually limiting.
Mm,
It's kind of like putting up that wall saying, I can't, I am not, all those different terms. When you catch those in your head, or if you're saying them out loud, I was even in a coffee chat yesterday, and one of the ladies in there said she had wrote a book. She's like, probably nobody will ever see it. It will never see the light of day.
oh,
And we're all like, well, why? You're such a bold person.
yeah.
What is it like? Why are you all of a sudden shying away from publishing this book and putting it out there? We were kind of like, tur turning around and giving her her own coaching and her own words because she's always pushing everybody else to go and do it. What's stopping you? And we're like, what's stopping you? She's like, well, maybe when I'm like over 50 and I don't care about this anymore, I'll just let it go. And we're like,
Mm,
really? You're waiting for these outside circumstances to say that you're ready for
yeah.
this? So I mean,
Yeah.
that was just kind of a tangible way to realize when you put these limits on yourself, I think. And
Mm,
I know you being a coach for this, you probably see this all the time. So you're just kind of accustomed to,
yeah.
oh, I see you putting this limit on yourself. Now I know what we need to work through. So, you know, I feel like everybody has their own little battles. But like you were talking about, when it comes to sales, when it comes to, people that are we have a gift, we have an ability or service that we offer, and then all of a sudden we're becoming entrepreneurs and we're trying to market and we're trying to sell this, how that all works. We're in a space suddenly where we're uncomfortable. We don't know necessarily all the steps on how to do this, how to start bringing in clients and stuff. So let's kind of go in that direction. What are some of the things that you really touch on when you help your clients to work through? What are some of these limiting beliefs specifically, maybe that you really help them come through in the coaching space of, they want to just do their passion, they want to just help people, they want to make impact, but then they have these things that are holding them back.
Yeah, I mean, I think you make a really good point. It's different for everyone. There's so many. So it's really, and that's why the work that I do is very custom and individual because everyone has their own kind of flavor of self-sabotage, right? Like we we all and like I was saying earlier, it's like sometimes we don't even recognize those thoughts and those limiting beliefs. But I think what you're asking for is like some concrete examples of how it gets in the way in business. So,
Yeah. Yeah.
um, yeah, like I will say, I mean, again, there's so many, but some common ones are, I think the one that you mentioned is like, I need to learn more. I need to get another certification, or I need to take another course, or I need to, take this program on how to do this thing in my business. And the truth is that you have everything you need right now, right? I mean, even if you're brand new, like you have everything you need to do to coach someone right now. You just have to believe it. You have to believe, and you have to really be able to embody that authority. So like you were saying, like we need to look at like where have we helped people before? What are the outcomes that we've seen in the people that we've helped? Did they walk away saying, "Oh my gosh, that was so helpful. Thank you for talking to me today." Even if it wasn't formal coaching that you were paid for, you have to really start to notice the things that are going well, and supporting a belief that you do know what you're doing and you actually don't need another certification or another, training course or whatever. You have everything you need right now. You just need to believe it. And so that's why this work can be so powerful, because, you might think, well, I should go get certified in this thing. Well, really, like you might have life experience that is even more powerful than having that certification, right? And that life experience is what's going to help that person who really needs you, that is, struggling with the problem that you help people with. Another really common one is the fear of selling, right? Like we all really feel, usually we feel pretty confident in the thing that we're, good at. Like if you're a coach, or if you're, doing brand design like you, Laura, it's like you feel really good in that. But when you have to go sell yourself, we all of a sudden have all of these thoughts. Well, I don't want to seem salesy. I don't want to feel gross and pushy and, you know, I always come back to the word salesy, right? Because everyone has this, this idea in their head of what that looks like the old, the used car salesman who's just trying to get you to buy something that you don't really want, really pushing you in that direction that feels really gross and uncomfortable. And so I think as online service providers, we often think, somebody's going to think that I'm salesy if I offer to help them. Somebody's going to feel that I'm, inauthentic and I just want to make money. And, and those things are not necessarily true. And so we have to shift those beliefs and look at it in a different way, right? And one of the things that is really, really cool that I often work with my clients on is helping them to understand that when someone pays for something, because we get a lot of guilt about charging a lot of money for what we do, right? Like that's another limiting belief. But when someone pays for something, they actually really pay a lot more attention to it, and they invest not just the money, but they invest in that thing that they've paid for, right? So if, for example, if you're a coach and you charge a decent amount of money for the services you provide, just like half of that experience that they're going to have with you is because they invested in themselves, because they put money behind it. They're going to focus on it. They're going to really put the effort in and put the energy in, and that's before they even start working with you, right? So I really try to help my clients see the value in what they do. And a lot of times coaches, and again service providers, what they do can be life changing, right? No matter what it is. Like if if, for example, in your business, if you help someone with their brand and they start to feel really excited about their business and they feel really good about what they're doing, a lot of times what happens is they start to make a lot more money, and they start to make those connections, and they start to believe they're making a bigger impact and they're making more money for their family, which opens up all these possibilities, right? So this is
Mhm.
actually life-changing stuff that we're selling. And so once my clients can see that, once they can see how big of a difference this can make in another human's life, it becomes so much easier to sell. It becomes not gross at all. It becomes actually a beautiful thing. And they feel really good charging a good amount of money for it because that is where the transformation happens. When someone really invests in themselves, they really do pay attention and focus on it in a different way than, giving it away for free.
Yeah, yeah, I completely agree with that. I've heard that so many different times from different people of, you know, when you get people to pay money for something, they're going to show up so much more readily available to soak up what you have to share with them, to
Yep.
learn things, to, to really invest their time and attention into it. So it's like you almost get better clients when you charge a little bit more money. And it's I think you said something really great about focusing on the impact that you're making for somebody else. It's like you've been given this gift of being able to coach people or being able to provide a very necessary service to other online entrepreneurs or brick and mortars or whatever type of service-based business that you may be in, is kind of like you said, making that shift of not focusing so much on, well, they're paying me. Yes, they're paying you for something, but really it's all about them. It's
Yeah.
all about them because if they're paying for you to coach them, they're investing in themselves because they want to get better at life or at business or in their health or whatever it is that you're coaching them on. And two, they're seeing it as this is a long term investment
Yeah.
because I'm going to be able to make changes now that will have longer lasting effects.
Yes.
Because I've even had to do some of my own mindset work around branding and marketing to think that, okay, I should charge a little bit more or I should be comfortable and confident what I'm charging because this is the face of their business. This is something that needs to be able to last them for the length of their business or longer, or it may change down the road, but let's not have to change it for 10, 20 years or whatever it is, or it's a
Yeah.
standalone thing because it's such a vital element to having their personal brand, having their business brand. It's something that people are going to see on repeat. I think it's so cool. I actually get to drive to a town nearby us, and I had done a logo for a friend for her business. This was back when I kind of first started my business, and I was just trying to get some work under my belt to have some testimonials and things. And I get to drive by and see it on a little sign next to their building, and I'm like, this
Yes.
is just so cool that I get to see my art that I
Yeah.
did for someone out for the public to view. And it
Love
just reiterated that fact that this is something they're going to keep for a very long time, and it's going to be a representation of their business. They're like,
that.
this is almost a priceless, valuable asset to
Yeah.
them because it's on the website, it's on their building, it's on their brochures, it's on everything. And you're like, wow, okay, yeah, I need to value more what it is that I do because it's something that people use so much. And like you said, I have had some where I've done a rebrand for them and they're just like, I am so excited now. Like, I'm ready to pour back into my business. I have so much more
Yeah.
enthusiasm because it feels good to me. I love how it looks. Like they're just ready and waiting to share it now. I've
That's
had some that are like, I want to scream, it's so beautiful. Or I had another client was like, oh, you just like you took what I could not conceive or put together and built it out for me. They're like, I want to cry. It's so beautiful. I'm like, this is great. This is
Yeah.
what I'm here for, to help them be
Amazing.
able to do that. And I think when we focus on what are we able to empower people with, what are we able to give people, you know, that is so valuable.
Mhm.
And when we can charge that and they're willing to invest because they're like, I know the amazing value I'm going to get out of this,
Yes.
that's empowering. It's changing that limiting belief of, I don't know if someone's going to pay this, or I don't know if I should charge this, or I feel, some resistance towards it. Change that limit to something empowering. And that happens, I think, when you change the focus from yourself to the person that you're going to be working with, the
Yeah.
ideal person. I had a visual pop in my head as you were talking about this. I'm like, this could work really well to explain this limiting belief. Say you're on a path with someone and you come up to this obstacle. There's this big rock,
Yeah.
and your friends over here like, oh my goodness, this big rock, it's just in the way. I don't even know a way around it. We can't go anywhere. We're just gonna have to go back. And you're looking at them like, really? You're letting this rock get in your way and they can't see anything else except for the rock. That's their limiting belief. And you're like, but we can walk around it. There's
Right.
another path we can take to bypass this. Like that's that empowering belief. Like
Yes.
we have different perspective. It's just a matter of perspective where we're not just so focused on this one rock in the way that we won't go any further. It's
Right.
like, okay, we could move the rock. We could go around the rock. We could do all these different things. That's when you change from limit to empower. So I just wanted to kind of share that little visual of maybe to kind of help make it more tangible of you just come up with a rock and you're so
Yeah.
focused on that,
Yes.
take your eyes off that rock and realize there is so much space around it that
Yeah.
you can still pivot and get around that and continue on your journey because you have an amazing journey to go through
Yeah.
and amazing things to accomplish on that journey.
I love that visual. Yes, that was so, yeah, I think so impactful to think about it that way because and truly like having our own business is a journey, right? And we have to understand that it's a journey that's going to have its ups and downs. It's going to have its rocks that get in the way and we have to I mean really in order to be successful, we have to keep going. So when these thoughts come up, when these rocks get in the way, we need to figure out how can we, move the rock out of the way, go around it, go over it, whatever it is. But the problem is so many people just see that rock and that's all they can see. They can't see around it or over it. And so then they stop and they go back and they say, okay, maybe I'm just not cut out for this. Maybe I don't have what it takes. And I've seen so many, I've been doing this for almost 7 years now as far as coaching, and I've seen so many people just give up. They just stop and they don't keep going. And the people who stay, the people who figure out how to overcome the fears, how to overcome the doubts, how to really feel confident that there's another way and really be, you know, whatever, excited to figure out the way around that rock. Like, okay, this is a challenge that I see in front of me, but I know I can figure this out. And when you have that mindset and it keeps growing and growing, like the more rocks you go around on that journey, the more empowered you become and the more confident you become that you can deal with the next thing. There's always going to be a next thing. And this isn't just business. This is life too, right? Right? I always say life is gonna happen. And so we have to figure out the ways around it. And once we can do that, we just become much more um courageous. We become much more resilient. We have a lot more grit. We're able to manage whatever gets in our way. And that's a beautiful thing. So just kind of like you gave that, that visual too of your branding, you get to, go by that sign and see like, I did that. That's so cool. That's such a huge impact I made in somebody's life. This kind of work makes a similar impact and it does it in their brain. And once you start to be able to see like the way around the problems and the way to overcome the limiting beliefs, what happens is this actually rewires in your brain. And so you become much yeah, you become easy it becomes easier to do this over and over again. Like it's like a muscle that you just are practicing it and the muscle gets stronger and it becomes much easier. So, and a lot of times when maybe you've gone for a long time without, getting a new client or, you just aren't feeling very good in your business, that can really take its toll. And that's the time where I think definitely reaching out for help is going to make an impact on you because we're not meant to do this alone. And sometimes we get really stuck and we feel like nothing's working and we feel really frustrated. And if we can get through that time in a powerful way, we're going to be stronger because of it.
Yeah. Yeah, I definitely agree because I think entrepreneurship brings on so many different challenges that we feel like, I
Yeah,
don't think I've ever faced this before.
right.
You probably haven't in that respect, but maybe in some other way, through life or through maybe being an employee or being in a business or something. But it takes on a whole new thing because you feel like I got to DIY it. I got to do it myself. I got to figure it out. But there are so many people here like you and me that are just, "Oh, I just want to help you overcome those challenges." Like,
Yes.
you've hit up against that wall, you've hit up against that rock, and we see the right way around and we want to help you figure that out too.
Yeah.
And you
Uh,
can't do business alone. You have to have people, you have to have a network, you have to have people you can talk to about these things. And I think that's one of the best tools that you'll ever find in
Absolutely.
especially online networking and business is there are so many resources, so many people that are just willing to help you if all you say is, I struggle with this. Could you help me?
Yeah.
Like nobody hardly gets turned away of like, no, I don't really want to help you with that. Like, no, I want to help you. You have this amazing thing that you're doing and
Yeah.
I want to
Yeah.
help you overcome the challenges. And you can plug into just free chats. I have one that I attend about once a month on a Wednesday. And I know that when I go in there, we're talking about accountability. We are talking about like what did you have planned? How did it go?
Mm.
What came up? If there was something that held you back or you procrastinated, we talk through it, we work through it. And
Yeah.
having that ability, or even just I've met some really great friends. And I know that if I'm struggling with something, I can reach out and
Yeah.
just be like, hey, okay, so this is going on right now. And
Yeah.
like, I know I need some encouragement. I need some help. I need someone else's perspective. But even too, taking that a step further, when you invest in coaching, when you invest in having someone there that you meet with regularly, that's like going to the gym for your brain,
Yes. Oh
that's
my
what
God.
you're doing. You're talking about working those muscles in your brain and rewiring and doing all those things. I love kind of learning about how all of that works. It fascinates me of just how powerful our mindset is, changing those I can't do this or I'm not sure about this to I can figure it out.
Yes.
Knowing what it is we're coming up against and doing that practice of finding a way around and then practicing that way around multiple times till it just becomes this second nature. If you think about it, we do it all the time with just routine tasks. You ever drive somewhere and you're like, how did it get here? I drive this road all the time. Didn't
Yes.
have to think about it this time. We want to get you to a point where you have these positive, uplifting thoughts of, I can work through this challenge, I can do that. And then you won't even think about it after
Yeah.
you have practiced it so much. It's just part of who you are. You're like, I'm an empowered human being. I can overcome this challenge. If I don't have sales going on right now, that's okay. I know I can talk to several people and I could probably have some in a couple of weeks.
Yeah.
Like, let's empower
Absolutely.
you to keep moving forward and doing those things and know that you are not alone. You have a community of people that you can reach out to. If you're not get into a community, find people, find one person
Yeah.
that you can talk to. Reach out to someone in coaching like Jennifer that, is just loving what she does and is ready and willing there to help you. I know you have a chat that you do. I think it's
Yes,
today actually.
it
You have
is.
a networking
Yes.
group. Yeah, tell me about that.
Yeah, so it's just it's very similar to what you mentioned. It's called Coffee and Connections. I do that right now. I don't know when, people will be listening to this, but right now it's every Thursday at 11 a.m. Pacific time. And it's just really a place to go and get to know people, network. And then we also we I encourage everyone to support one another, right? So everyone there is required to say how the group can support them. I do that every week, and then I open it up for Q&A too, as far as any questions that people have as far as business mindset, all the things. So and it's completely free. It's a really great like you said, way to meet supportive people in your life and maybe make some new business besties. But yeah, that's just a free way to connect. And yeah, and though for the people who really do feel like they're being held back by those limiting beliefs, I encourage you to, you know, seek out help because those things can really get in the way. And I want to see you be successful in your business. And I don't want to I hate when I hear that people are held back by the negative, stories going on in their mind. And it's not always so easy as just to say like, well, think positive, look at the bright side. It's not that simple. And so I want people to know that like if this is getting in your way, there's nothing wrong with you, right? There's nothing that has gone wrong and help is there, right? So if it's not me, you know, speak to another mindset coach, but what I want to kind of challenge people to do is a lot of times we think that we just need to get a new strategy or have people tell us what to do in our business as far as, whatever it is, like, learn how to post on social media differently or know how to like have better copy or whatever. But the truth is when you really, really feel confident and clear in what you do, all of that stuff becomes so much easier. And all of the things that you've learned, you're now able to implement in a different way because you feel so good about it. And this work is fun. Like it doesn't have to be scary either. I mean, I know that I am also a therapist, but this doesn't mean we're like digging up your childhood traumas, right? This is really helping you shift your limiting beliefs so that you can be ultra successful and that you're just going to feel so amazing in your business every single day. And your prospective clients are going to feel that and they buy your energy, they buy you.
Mhm.
So if you're having fun and you're feeling amazing, that's where you want to be.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. So I encourage anybody who's listening to this. I love free resources and free network chats to get into. So definitely go
Yeah,
check out Jennifer's if you feel led to do that. All of her links and things are going to be in the show notes. So you can find her, connect with her if you want to join her little networking and coffee chat on Thursdays. Um, so I want to thank you so much, Jennifer, for being on here and just being an amazing guest and sharing some great things that I think the listeners will be able to take away and to start thinking about and implementing like, okay, what are maybe some of my rocks in the way that I need to work on and how can I do that? And know that anytime that they decide to invest in some coaching with their mindset, with their business, that it's not so much that we're gonna be just nitpicking all this negative stuff that's not working. It's like we're gonna be looking at that, but we're gonna be gathering lots of tools. We're gonna be working on the things to make this fun and exciting because you're not gonna be dealing with those struggles in the same way anymore. So I think that's
absolutely.
such a beautiful thing to look forward to.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me, Laura. So much fun. Always love chatting with you.
Thanks, Jennifer. Thank you so much.